Okay, in the previous session, we had discussion on chiller, the first important part of the HVAC system. This is the actual pictures. They are actual chillers. You can see, and you can also see that there is a white box in between the diagram. This particular white box. These white boxes are actually the control part of this particular central control part of this particular chillers, and there are different connections from different parts of the chiller, and this is the control element. So this type of this white box is inside. So this is the control part of this chiller. There are different wires coming from the different sections of the chillers. There are different wires and different types of measurements instruments are also there. If you observe very carefully, you can see that here if these tubings, vertical tubings, these particular tubings are mainly incorporated for the measurement of flow. There are different types of sensors. Yes, you can see over here. If we carefully observe in this particular chiller, there are different sensors mounted. So many sensors are mounted. Yes, there are walls also. Here also sensors. So if we say what type of sensors are there, so mainly we can say there are pressure sensors, there are flow sensors, and temperature sensors are also there. So because this particular process is heating and heating process actually not involved in this particular, but boiler that is also the sub component, or we can say the sub component HVAC system, and this particularly is for the coolant, the refrigerant cooling system. So in this also, yes, temperature is obviously need to be monitored and controlled, as well as the pressure and flow rate. How chiller water and condenser water loops are behaving, right? So there are condenser section and as well as the chiller water section. So that is from the evaporator there is a chiller water section, and in the condenser there is a condenser water section. So there are two water loops in particular chiller. One is at evaporator, another is at condenser. How that particular loops are behaving, the chiller must know that. Why? Whether there is water flowing in that particular loop. If there is no water flowing in that particular loop, there is a no need to turn on this particular chiller loop, and this particular chiller will not function, will not behave properly. So it is required to ensure that the the water loop of the condenser as well as the chiller loop of the evaporator, whether there is some water present over there. Okay, otherwise the system will not start, or there is no requirement of any, there may be any inadequate things will be happen. And sometimes if that inadequate thing may freezing and bursting type of things can be happen. Some types of the freezing type of thing can be happen, or sometimes there is a bursting type of things can be happen. The bursting and freezing mainly that pays the cost in heat exchanger tubings, right now. The bursting and that freezing will damage the tubes of heat exchangers, because there are costly tubes used in particular heat exchangers, and condenser is also the part of heat exchanger, and evaporator is also the part of heat exchanger. So there is a freezing and bursting will be happen if we are not properly measuring the loop water, either that is chiller water loop or there is a condenser water loop. So in that the feeding we are going to be checked with the help of flow sensors. If flow sensors give the signal to the controller, yes, water is present, then and then the things will get turned on. We can say that start operation. Chiller also need to know whether the temperature of the fluid of the chilled water there are loops. So temperature is also one of the important parameter that is also required to know to the chiller. Both the loops, in the evaporator as well as in the condenser also. And based on their measurement, then the next action will be taken place. So there are different types of monitoring also taken place. The pressures are also get monitored, the pressure of the evaporator, and also in the condenser, that is also get monitored. So pressure transmitters, pressure sensors are used to monitor the pressure inside the condenser as well as the pressure inside the evaporator. That two things are also get monitored. And the refrigerant temperature in different sections, because there is in section, there is out section. In chiller also there is a in section, out section, in section, out section of refrigerant, in section, out section for the cooling tower. There is a in and out section in the evaporator also. In section from the building and out section is to the building. So there are different sections where different temperature sensors, pressure gauges are mounted. So that are also connected to the controlling part. And obviously there is a wall that plays the role, right? So that particular wall, you know very well, expansion wall, right? That expansion wall is also to be controlled from the controllers. And other parameters that already I told you in the previous session, there are some low pressure switches, there are some high pressure switches, there may be other type of things over there. So other things are already covered: temperature, flow, and pressure. Along with that, there are switches also. So this is about the chiller control part. You can also see that this is the screen. We can say that the live signals, they are displayed on this particular SCADA system type of screen or any other type of software based screen. In that you can see that there are different parameters, they are live monitored from the chiller. So this is particular subsection of HVAC system. In that you can see the water, their temperature is also get monitored, flow rate get monitored, there is a refrigerant. So this particular, for the condenser part, you can see here this type of things are get monitored continuously and get controlled. So for the refrigerant also, the pressure get monitored, then the saturated temperature, discharge temperature, superheat temperature, liquid line temperature, subcooling temperature, everything is get monitored. And here also there are many things are displayed. So this is particular is the part that is important part for the instrumentation point of view, different controls on the chiller. So I request you all to explore this chiller control with the help of LibTech control book. You can go in more and more detail and you can focus. I request you all to focus on this particular control part now. Now chiller, now you know very well. So now it is very essential to focus on the control part of this particular chiller section. So in this also animated diagrams, the same things are mentioned. So this is particularly the compressor, and then there is a condenser in the bottom, and the middle is the evaporator, and this is the control box of this particular. These are the flow sensors. You can see these are the different temperature sections. Now